Violence with the wine bottle shocked everyone around them. Harold stared at the young man, whose face was now covered in blood, and sneered. "If you don't get out of here, I'll break your leg." The young man gritted his teeth, clutching his head. "Okay, you've got guts. You just wait." After that, the young man held his bleeding head and hurried out of the restaurant. Harold, "Idiot. You're going to threaten me? Please. Who in this city is Harold afraid of?" He then turned to Elsa with a smug look. "Elsa, guys like that are everywhere. Don't let him get to you. Let's just keep eating and forget about it." The whole thing had ruined Elsa's mood. She just nodded without saying anything. Throughout the rest of the meal, Harold tried several times to lighten the mood, but Elsa wasn't having it. In her mind, Harold wasn't just incompetent, he was also reckless. He was not the kind of man she was interested in at all. Harold had thought that standing up to the guy would impress Elsa, maybe even win her over. He never expected that it would just make her more repulsed and disgusted by him. This left him feeling completely dejected. He hadn't realized Elsa wasn't into guys who resort to violence. It was like he'd shot himself in the foot. Harold was miserable for the rest of the meal. After they finished eating, he wanted to talk with Elsa a bit more, hoping to build some connection. Instead, Elsa frowned and said, "It's getting late. I should get going. Thanks for dinner." Harold said, "Then I'll give you a ride." Elsa shook her head. "No, I'll just get a cab." At this point, Elsa just wanted to put some distance between herself and Harold. Harold was furious but tried to hide it. "Then I'll at least walk you to your car." Elsa didn't refuse. She just nodded, stood up, and walked out. Harold hurried to follow her, fuming inside. He had wanted to set up a romantic date, take the opportunity to confess his feelings to Elsa, but he couldn't believe that jerk had to come and ruin everything. His chance was completely gone, and on top of that, he'd probably left a terrible impression on her. "If I ever see that guy again, I'm going to make him pay," Harold muttered bitterly. Meanwhile, Charlie had just finished dinner and was clearing the table. Claire suddenly looked anxious. "Charlie, there's a quote from a supplier in my bag. Have you seen it?" Charlie shook his head. "I haven't touched your bag since I got back." Claire thought for a moment before she slapped her forehead. "Oh, the documents must have fallen out in the meeting room at the Grand group. I need them for tomorrow morning. Can you drive me there to get them?" Charlie smiled. "You're so tired. You should rest. I'll go get it for you." Claire sighed. "I really am exhausted, so please, that would be a huge help." The document number is GY 2019-1101. Charlie waved his hand. "It's no big deal." After that, Charlie drove off toward the Grand group. Back on the street, Harold and Elsa had just left the hotel and were standing by the roadside. Elsa was about to hail a cab when, at that moment, 3 white vans screeched to a stop nearby. A dozen tough-looking guys suddenly jumped out and rushed toward them aggressively. The men were all wearing black masks and carrying steel pipes. They were clearly here for revenge. This is not good, Harold thought, scared out of his mind when he saw so many people running toward him. Elsa saw it too, and her face went pale with shock. She guessed this group of people must have been sent by the young man from before, looking for revenge. From the looks of it, she was afraid they were going to get seriously hurt. Sure enough, the young man, now with a gauze bandage on his head, stepped forward and shouted, "Damn it! That's the guy!" As soon as he said that, the whole group charged straight for Harold. "I'm the young master of the Wilson family. You can't touch me!" Harold yelled, trying to sound tough, even though he was terrified. A burly man with a nasty smirk stepped forward and swung a steel pipe right at him. Harold was so scared he nearly wet his pants. In a moment of pure panic, he shoved Elsa out in front of him. "Oh!" Elsa cried out as he pushed her toward the gang. Seizing the opportunity, Harold sprinted to his car, jumped in, and sped away without a second thought. Elsa was absolutely furious. That Harold was such a coward. He started this whole mess, and at the first sign of trouble, the big tough guy shoves a woman in front of him to take the fall while he runs away. Was it even possible to find a bigger scumbag in the entire world? Watching Harold escape, the young man with the bandaged head cursed. That coward just ditched the girl and ran all by himself. What a loser. Then he stared at Elsa and said coldly, "Hey, pretty girl, you better call that coward and get him back here. Otherwise, you're not going to like what happens next." "Elsa, I barely know him. Please don't drag me into your business." The young man pointed to the gauze on his head. "Damn it, I've got 16 stitches because of him. I can barely think straight, and it hurts to even eat. If he doesn't come back to save you, then you're going to have to make it up to me and my guys for all our trouble." "Elsa, you can't do this. This is illegal." "Illegal?" The young man. "My word is the law out here. After we're done with you, you'll find out what's legal and what isn't." A chill ran down Elsa's spine. Panic and despair washed over her. She said quickly, "I'll call him now." With that, she pulled out her cell phone and dialed Harold's number. Harold was flooring it, trying to get as far away as possible when he suddenly saw Elsa's name flash on his phone. His heart sank. "This is just great," he thought. Damn it, what terrible luck! He'd been told to get close to her, to build a relationship with the Gardner family so his own family could move up in the world. Well, so much for that. He'd completely blown it with Elsa now. But there was no way he was answering the phone right now. Answering meant going back, and even a fool knew what would happen then. Would he even make it out alive if he went back? That gang was serious, and they were carrying steel pipes. Even if they didn't kill him, he'd probably end up crippled for life. Girls were one thing, but his life was more important, so he made his choice. He kept driving, ignoring her call. Elsa's call went unanswered. She was desperate. She pleaded with the young man. "I can give you money. Please, just let me go. This has nothing to do with me." The young man just grinned cruelly. "I don't want your money," he said. "I want you." A wave of terror washed over Elsa. She knew if she didn't do something, he would never let her go. So while he was off guard, she gritted her teeth and kicked him hard, right between the legs. The young man never expected her to fight back. The kick landed squarely, and he doubled over with a screaming scream of pain. In a blind rage, he swung his arm out, and a knife in his hand slashed into her. Elsa tried to run, but a sharp pain shot through her thigh. She screamed and collapsed to the ground. The sharp blade was buried in her leg, and blood was already soaking through her clothes. "You stupid girl! Think you can run?" The young man, furious now, grabbed her by the hair. He sneered. "Congratulations! You've really ticked me off. Now my buddies and I are going to settle scores." Tears of despair streamed down Elsa's face. In her heart, she felt like this was the end. She knew this man wouldn't let her go. She was terrified she was going to die right here, at his hands. At this point, it felt like no one could possibly save her. She didn't even notice the black car slowly pulling up nearby. Charlie, who was driving, saw her in an instant and frowned. The sharp pain in Elsa's leg was unbearable. Utterly desperate, tears streamed down her face. Seeing her tear-streaked, beautiful face only seemed to fuel his cruelty. He swallowed hard and barked, "Get her in the car!" He reached down to drag her toward the car. Just then, he heard several agonizing screams from behind him. "What the hell?" The young man whipped his head around angrily, shouting, "What's going on?" But as soon as he looked up, he felt a rush of wind. Before he could even react, an excruciating pain exploded across his face. His vision swam with stars, and he heard a sickening crack as his nose broke, blood gushing everywhere. The young man screamed in agony, staggering backward before collapsing. As he fell, his last clear sight was of his friends sprawled on the ground like rag dolls, completely motionless. Elsa looked up, her eyes wide with a mix of horror and shock. A man in a black mask stood over her, his eyes as cold and sharp as a blade. Elsa was shocked, but a wave of relief washed over her. A question raced through her mind. Who was he? Was he here to save her? Yes, she thought, he must be. The young man's face was a bloody mess as he lay on the ground, unable to move. Her rescuer had been incredibly fast. In the blink of an eye, he had taken down all 4 of them. It took a few seconds for the remaining thugs to process what had happened. Then, with angry roars, they charged at the masked man, shouting for their downed friends. "Who are you?" Elsa stammered, looking up at the man from where she sat on the ground. The man didn't answer. Instead, he quickly scooped her up and disappeared down a dark alley. Elsa gasped for breath, her heart hammering against her ribs. She was still reeling from the shock. Behind them, she could hear the angry shouts of the thugs and the roar of motorcycles as they pursued them. The wind whipped past her face. She'd lost a lot of blood from her leg, and between that and the sheer panic, all she could do was cling weakly to the man carrying her. For some reason, there was something familiar about him. She had no idea that the mysterious man holding her was Charlie, her best friend's husband. Charlie had just been driving by when he spotted Elsa cornered by those guys. Worried she was in serious trouble, he'd thrown on a mask to save her. Ever since he'd been changed by the spiritual energy from that white stone, Charlie's abilities were on another level. He was much faster and more skilled than before. The neighborhood was a maze of alleys, and Charlie used them to quickly lose their pursuers. He carried Elsa for a good distance, finally stopping deep inside a park. It was getting dark, and the trees and bushes were thick here. Even if the gang caught up, they could easily hide. He gently set Elsa down on the ground and frowned when he saw her pants were soaked in blood. Despite the blood loss, Elsa was still conscious. She looked pale, but her eyes were filled with gratitude. "Thank you for saving me," she said, her voice weak. "Who are you?"
To know more, listen to the audio series Heir in Hiding, only on the Pocket FM app.